All right, Shalom. This is Brother Nasaf coming back at you with another video through Spirit Pavia about Shemel Shai. This is going to be another on-site. I forget how I usually put it. I think I put like on-site topic or something along those lines. Yeah, on-site topic. That's probably what I do. I kind of want to start doing that, while I'm on the scene at work, really not having too much to do at the moment. So I call it the on-site topic. Right, and ultimately, this lesson is just gonna be a skillful ad, adding skillfully. Sometimes, you watch videos and you hear things that brothers say, and it rejuvenates you in the spirit, and it may move you to actually be able to start the camera, actually, skillfully add on that subject or that topic that the brother was speaking about that was edifying. The scripture says that a wise man will hear a word and he will add unto. So that's what I'll be doing, in the skillful ad video. Ultimately, I'm gonna title this "Make Every Day Count." Skillful ad. I was watching a brother Quara Abad right out of the Houston camp. I'll show you the video title. I was watching this video right here. Subscribe, be edified to the brother channel. I was watching that video. Be sure to feed your spirit more than the flesh. Then you'll be at ease in this world. Right, and that's on point. The brother was going in on feeding the spirit more than the flesh, right? Because you can ultimately be carried away into like scrolling on social media or whatever it is that you're doing that's pulling you away from sowing to yourself in the spirit. And we all fall victim to it. And one thing we do know is that you feel better when you do something in the spirit. And that's just what this skillful ad is make every day count. You might not do a video every day, but you're making sure that you're sowing in the spirit, man. Let these trucks, but they kind of loud. Salaki, I'm at work, so these trucks kind of loud and stuff like that. But all in all, excuse me, right? It made me think of this scripture right here while I was talking, right? Where it say, sow to the spirit more than the flesh, right? Because you can get carried away. That's what the brother was going into, right? Let me get this. This is Sirach 19 and verse 1. It's the first scripture that come to my spirit. It says, a laboring man that is given unto drunkenness shall not be rich, right? So it says, shall not be rich, and he that contenteth small things shall fall little by little, man. You see, so it's certain things start off small, and too much of anything is bad for you, so you might go like contentment small thing fall little by little, like I say, you can go probably, let's say you go one day without doing something in the spirit to the Lord, right? Now you done fed your flesh that whole day, right? And you might be like, oh, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Well, now you tarrying, right? Because come tomorrow, like the scripture say, tomorrow for sufficient for itself. So you can, something might come up tomorrow, right? And next thing you know, it been 2 days, then it be 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you ain't read, you ain't did nothing in the spirit in a month, now, and you wondering why your spirit all out of whack. And that's what the brother was going into, and that's that's really on point, man. You see, so like I said, he that contenteth small things shall fall little by little. But if we maintain our fear in Yahweh Shemel Shai, like the scriptures tell us, right, we're going to tend into life, right? So matter of fact, let's get that. This is Proverbs 19 and 23. It says, and I'm not going to really make this lesson too long. I just wanted to jump into it, while I was here. So it say Proverbs 19 and 23, it says, the fear of the Lord tended to life, right? And this is life, right? The wisdom, knowledge, understanding, right? This all, right? This promotes life. Right, this focusing on this ministry, so on and so forth. This is life to us. This gives us life, right? It says, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied. Matter of fact, let's get that in a blue letter right quick, real quick, Salakia. Right, and we're gonna abide. I want to see what satisfied say, right? But we're gonna abide satisfied, man. If we have life, if we fear Yahweh Shemel Shai, right? And you be satisfied once you get the works in, or once you read something, or once you go a couple breakdowns or study, whatever. After you talk to brothers, whatever, you feel better in the spirit. You be more satisfied rather than you not doing anything for that day, right? So this Proverbs 19 and verse 23. I'm gonna get satisfied. I want to see what it say, right? I believe. Let me see, and I'm reading the NLT too, because NLT hit. All right, satisfy means to satisfy, sat abounding, right? Don't the scriptures talk about that? Abounding in the works, abounding in Yahweh Shema Shah. Let me see. I think it say more and more, something like those lines, something along those lines. Let me get that. That's that Philippians. All right, because we got to have that love for this truth, right? So it says, this is Philippians 1:9. It says, "In this I pray, that your love," right, which is an action, right? If you love Yahweh Shema Shah, you're going to feed his sheep. If you love Yahweh Shema Shah, you're going to do all things which he command, right? And it's a commandment for us to do these things, to stay in the spirit, right? And it's also a fight, bro. Being in Babylon, it's a fight to stay in the spirit, right? Especially being around all this evil, right? So and easy to be distracted. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to fall off into some other shit and scrolling on social media. That shit is like a sinkhole, right? So it says, "In this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment." You see, so we got to make proper judgment, right, and continue to move in the knowledge, which much understanding of Yahweh Shema Shai, that's going to move us to do these things that so tie with spirit. Because if we live after the flesh, right, we're going to reap corruption, right? The scriptures talk about that, right? It say that he that soweth bountifully, bountifully shall he receive. Sparingly, sparingly shall he receive, so on and so forth. So it's about, at the end of the day, what you want to be remembered as, right? And that's why we got to make every day count, right? Especially being in Babylon, bro, you got to sow to the spirit, bro, right? There's so much wickedness going on, right? And there's, forces that we're fighting, we got to, our spirits have to be, durable, right? So this is a Sirach 35. I'm going to get this in verse 6. It says, "The offering of a righteous man," Salakia, "the offering of the righteous maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High. The sacrifice of a just man is acceptable, and a memorial thereof shall never be forgotten," right? So the point of bringing that out is to show, like, bro, like, it's not everything that, I'm gonna say it like this, everything that we're doing in the spirit now and so on to the spirit now is going to be stitched in history, man, right? And when something is stitched, it's firm, it's set, it's not going nowhere. So the works that we put in, the sacrifices that we put in, the lost time with family, kids, whatever the case may be, this is going to be stitched in history for eternity, man. You see? Because it's all about being known in heaven, like I like to say. Right? Matter of fact, let me get this real quick. Salaki, I said I was going to read that Proverbs 19 in the NLT. I'm rolling. I'm read that in the NLT real quick. This Proverbs 19:23. I'm reading the NLT. It says, "The fear of the Lord leads to life," right? So we fear Yahweh Shema Shah. We're going to move in a manner as such, and it's going to lead and tend to life, right? It's going to grant us life. It says, "Bringing security and protection from harm," man. You see, so because when you read it, it says that he shall be satisfied and he shall not be visited with evil. You see, so when we're sowing in the spirit, right, when we're doing the things that we know that we ought to be doing, right, it protects us from the evil. This is how we keep that hedge about us, right? You think about it, when you're not sowing into the spirit, you jeopardize that hedge that's around about you, man. You see, and we don't want to jeopardize that hedge, right? Let me get this. Now let me jump to that scripture I was gonna go get. This is what's that? 8, and this is Wisdom of Solomon 8, because it said that through the fear we obtain life. So Wisdom of Solomon 8, because if we're fear, that meaning we're putting ourselves under the submission of wisdom, right? Like the scripture says, letting wisdom meet us in every thought, right? Desiring that discipline of wisdom, right? You can have motivation. Motivation is when you talk about it, you have a thought in your mind that's motivated, like shit, I got this lesson I want to do, woo, I got the script, I seen this. That's motivation, right? Discipline is whenever you're able to sit down and do something continuously, and we got to make sure that we have the discipline, you see? And actually, discipline also goes back to what? The disciples, right? Disciple, right? So this is Wisdom of Solomon 8 and verse 17. It says, "Now when I considered these things in myself and pondered them in my heart, how that to be allied with wisdom is immortality." You see, so to be allied, right? Because the scriptures talks about that. Us being allied with wisdom, the scripture says that wisdom returneth to them that practice in her, but also that it maketh us friends and prophets of the Most High, and that's in every eon, every time, right? The prophets have always received the spirit of prophecy, have always received the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You see? But it says right here is that what to be allied with it, right? To be allied unto wisdom is immortality, because that's what we're going to receive. It says if your desire be in thrones and scepters, then honor wisdom. You see, what wisdom tells us to sow in the spirit, right? So it says, and great pleasure it is to have her friendship, and in the works of her hands are infinite riches, right? Because there's nothing comparable to wisdom, right? It says there is gold in a multitude of rubies, but wisdom is a precious jewel. Just roughly paraphrasing it. It says, and in the exercise of conference with her, prudence. And so when you're exercising a conference with wisdom, meaning you're sitting down, you're being occupied in wisdom. And that's what we were told to do. Occupy till I come. Be made busy. Be found doing. Right? We were told to give attendance to reading, exhortation. Matter of fact, let me get that. I'm going to pull that up right quick, because I want to get that word, attendance. And Salakia, I'm just going with whatever precepts hit my spirit. Lord willing, it's all coming together. Right? But it says, to exercise, it says, and in the exercise of conference with her, meaning you sitting down, you reading chapters, you looking up words, so on and so forth, you getting in-depth understanding, you going back and watching videos from the pot. These are things that keep us in the spirit, man. Right? So it says, prudence in taking with her a good report, I went about seeking how to take her to me. Right? So I want to read what happened when he said, see how I could take her to me. So 21, it says, neither when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except the Most High power gave her to me. Whoo! Right? So he say, I'm exercising my conference, and I see the benefit of it. What I'm gathering from being occupied, right, and being occupied in the wisdom, right, giving that conference, spending that time, right. I see what I'm gathering from it is strengthening me, and that's what the scripture tells us, that wisdom, right, teach it temperance, prudence, and fortitude. We're able to fortify. Fortitude goes into fortifying. So our minds become fortified, right, through this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and that's how we're able to fight these different spirits, fight these different thoughts, fight these demons when they're attacking us, man. You see? And that's why it's important to maintain the spirit, being in the spirit of things, right? So it says, nevertheless, when I perceived that I could not otherwise obtain her, except the Most High gave her me. See, the only way to get it is if it's given directly from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? So us brothers that's calling on the true names of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, preaching the correct and direct doctrine of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? The Lord, you have the ability to be given into the conference of wisdom, and everybody does not have the ability to do so. We have to take advantage of that, man, right? Striving and cleaving unto that, man. The scripture says this is the engrafted word that is able to save our souls. When we read that, this is what's going to deliver us to life, right? So it says, and that was a point of wisdom also, to know whose gift she was, right? So that gift, right, of receiving this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, that gift of actually having faith in Yahweh Shema, that was all given from on high, man. So that shows you that the correct doctrine, right, from the apostle elders of great millstone was directly sent from heaven. This is heaven sent, man, right? This is not a man. That's what Apostle Paul said. This was then a man, it will come to naught. You see? So it says, I prayed unto the Lord and besought him, and with my whole heart I said. We're going to read what he said in the next chapter, but it says he besought him with his whole heart, and that's what we were commanded to do, to return to Yahweh Shem Yahushua with our whole heart and with our whole mind, right? And that's what he wants us to do, right? Because when you read in the scriptures, what did he say? He say, in the book of Isaiah, he say, call unto me. You see? So let me jump to 9. When you read it, say, O power of my fathers, and the Lord mercy, who had made all things with thy word, and obtained man through thy wisdom, that he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made. In order, it says, in order the world according to equity and righteousness, and execute judgment with an upright heart. Give me wisdom that sitteth by the throne, and reject me not from among thy children. And this is something that we must continue to pray. This is the mindset that we ought to be in, right? It's to pray that the Lord continue to endow us with the wisdom from on high, right? and that he reject us not, man, right? Because it'll be a terrible feeling, right, to be rejected. The scriptures talk about what he say, get thee from me, thee worker of iniquity, I never knew thee. That's a painful thing, man. Just reading that make my heart hurt, man, right? You see, don't nobody want to hear, no, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear those words coming from the Lord. You see, and it's gonna be many that say, Lord, Lord. There's gonna be many that say, have we cast out devils, and it's gonna be many, bro. You see, so we gotta chase that crown at the end of the day, man. You see, matter of fact, let me get that attendance I said I was gonna get. This is 1 Timothy, and this is how we get that. This is how we get that attendance. I know it's 1 Timothy 4. This is 1 Timothy 4 and verse 13. It says, till I come, right? Give attendance unto reading, to exhortation, unto doctrine. It says, neglect not the gift. So there you go. What's the gift? We just read it. The spirit that the Lord hath placed upon men, right? He said, I've given thee this treasure in earthen vessels, the spirit of Yahweh Shemashai, which is the spirit of prophecy, which we behold, which we bestow, that he bestowed upon us. When you go into that means he entrusted this into. He entrusted this into us, you see? And we got to do right by it, right? It says, neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by the prophecy. It says, which the laying on the hands of the presbytery, which mean the body of the elders. Right, watching apostles and elders, watching the examples that they have given us, right? When you read the what do he say? It say how even some of you are busybodies. Let me see. We have written. Let me see. Because they didn't show us that, right? They showed us the way to move, right? Our apostles and elders on down, right? Because it say some acting disorderly or something along those lines. What's that, man? That's the second Thess. Salakia, man. I think that's that second Thess 3. Because there's another one that say two of them that say busybodies, because they speaking things that they ought not. And then there's another one where they was talking about the example that was given and shown, right? So second Thessalonians, I'm gonna do this one. 2 Thessalonians 3 and 9. Not because ye have not power, but to make ourselves. Oh, there it go. 8. It says, neither did we eat any man's bread for naught, but wrought with labor and travail night and day, that we might not be chargeable to any of you. Right? So the apostles and elders and the men that came before us, they showed us the way. They've given us and laid that foundation and given us the examples on to follow in righteousness. Right? But watch what it says. Not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an example unto you to follow us. That's why it says, what it says, give attendance unto reading, exhortation unto doctrine. That's what we were commanded to do. Right? That was also the example that was given. That's why it says, laying on the hands on the presbytery, which is the body of the elders, watching the apostles and the elders and the bishops, right on down. Right? So it says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat, man. And that's just the saying. That's how it go. If you don't work, you don't eat. So we must work, right? And apostles and elders are big on that, man. Apostles and elders talk about that all the time. The work ethic, right? The discipline, right? So on and so forth, because this thing is deadly serious, man. You see, but it says, for when, Salakia, verse 10, it says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. And the scriptures talk about that. The scriptures talk about the idle hand, right? The idle man, right? That's not sowing in the spirit. He not doing nothing. It talks about idleness teaching much wickedness. What's the other one? It says that a slothful man will put his hand in his bosom and bring it not to his mouth. Meaning what? He won't eat. He won't gather. You see? So it says, for we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. And you have that, man, right? Where you're sowing in the flesh and you're not sowing in the spirit. You're a busybody. You hear you turning up. You want to do this. You want to do that. You engulfed in the world rather than sowing to the spirit. And that's what the brother was going into in his epistle, right? That video was fire. Brothers, check that video out. You see? What's the other one? It say, Yeah, that was it. You know, I'm gonna just jump back to that 1 Timothy. So 1 Timothy 4:13, it says, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation. And that's what we were commanded to do, to exhort one another. It says exhort one another, while today, let me get it. Exhort another, exhort, how it go? While today is still today, or something unless the Hebrews. This is Hebrews 3:13. Oh, come on, man. This is Hebrews 3:13. It says, but exhort one another daily while it is still called today. So it means a daily thing, right? Like your brother was mentioning in his video, you might send brother scripture of the day, you know, whatever the case may be. This is a daily exhortation, right? It says, least any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. And you'll be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin by what? Not being linked with the body, not being tied to the brotherhood, not communicating, right? The more you go away from, that's why I said, he that contempteth small things fall little by little. The more you go away from this thing, the more you're not endowed in the spirit and you're not tuned in, right? The weaker you become, man, right? And you start to, you know, you be easily overcame. You see? You know, those demons jump on you, it'd be harder for you, man, right? And Lord forbid, you know, you be overcame, man. You see, we're striving to overcome this world, you see. But this is what was called faithful men. That's what the scripture says. It says, shew these things unto faithful men that shall teach others also. So we're in the business of being selfless, right? So meaning you have to cast off your flesh and put yourself aside and think upon the flock, you see. So this is that was it on that. Oh, no, Salakia, I was supposed to get that attendance. The water y'all about Shemiah, I almost forgot. Let's get that give attendance. So it says to bring near, to bring, to turn the mind to, attend, to be attentive. A person or a thing of caring for, providing for, to attend oneself, to give heed to oneself, give attention, take heed to disappoint, to apply oneself, to attach oneself to, hold or cleave to a person or thing, to be given or addicted to. So we have to show an addiction, right, to the ministry. What the scripture says, who was that? They were addicted. Let's get that. Dang, what church was that? They say that they were addicted. Stephanus. Yep. You know how the house of Stephanus. Let's get that. This is 1 Corinthians 16:15. It says, I beseech you, brethren, you know the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia. It says, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints. And that's what we have to do. We have to be addicted. We have to have an addiction. An addict, when you have a addiction, you see an addict, he all fucked up and all twisted up in his mind until he get his fix, till he get his daily dose. And we should have a daily dose of this truth, this ministry, is wisdom to understand it, because this is what keeps us sane, right? And this is what will keep us sane in the times to come. The scripture says that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times and the strength of salvation, man. You see? So this is what we must give attendance to, be addicted to. You see? In order to be considered just, right? Hold on, Salaki, I think he calling me. Salaki. Who you calling? Salaki, I'm on the job. Let me see the guy. What it do? All right, bet. I'm about to turn around. No. You say they got to come all the way right here?
Yeah, on this side.
All right, I'm going to just get behind them.
All right, you want to go back up?
No. I'm going to stick on. Oh, damn.
All right.
I'm going to just whip around. All right. Salaki. Let me turn around right quick. You know, because let me turn around right quick because I don't want no Edomite to see me, you know, just on my phone and they be ready to try and run Jacob out of here. You know what I mean? Let me turn around right quick. It shouldn't take me long. Salakia. But yeah, you know, just going back into that analogy, you know, of an addiction, or an addict that has an addiction, you know, like I say, his whole mind and his mannerisms and everything show that he's addicted to something, and he's not going to be okay until he get there. You know, you ever watch certain movies, you see those addicts, they be all, you know, fucked up and out of whack. Hold on, brother. Let me turn around. Let me turn around. Right? Until they get what they actually need. You know? And then they shake back. They be all right. You know? And that's how we are, man. We got to be addicted to this thing. You see? Let me post back up. It's a lot. Let me post back up. I just probably got like 1 or 2 more verses I want to read, and I'm not going to keep it too long. You know, matter of fact, let me get this. This is Proverbs 10. And nah, not Proverbs. I get this. Sirach 11, and I ended off with this one. You know, Lord willing, I pray that the point was made. You know, just skillfully adding, you know, to what the brother was going into. The brother had a Yapot lesson, you know, and it just moved me to, you know, do this. So this is Sirach 11 and 20. It says, "Be steadfast in thy covenant, and be conversant therein, and wax old in thy works." Right? So we got to wax old in our works, man. That's what we want. You know, we got to wax old in our works, meaning we have to be occupied in it, man. You see? We got to be occupied in this thing, right? We got to continue to sow to our spirit, showing that addiction. You see? For Yahweh Shemi Ashai, right? Matter of fact, I said that was going to be the last one. I'm going to read this one, right? Because what? He say what? My soul panted, right? My soul panted after thee. This is Psalms 142. And matter of fact, let me get in the blue letter so I can get it. Psalms, I'm going to get it in the blue letter, 42 and 1. I'm going to read in the NLT. It says, "For the choir director of a psalm of the descendants of Korah, it says, as a deer longs for streams of water, so I long for you, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. I thirst for the Most High, the living power. When can I go and stand before him?" Man, you see, so our souls, right, our hearts and our minds being set on the Lord, meaning that what he's saying, what? I panted after thee, right? When something is panted, that means you ever seen a creature pant, right? And when he get to that water, when he get to that brook, imagine how he don't want to come up off of that, man. You see, because he's desiring it, right? And that's the same desire that we have to carry as a beast that's panting for water, that needs water, man. You see, I think it's another one that goes into that also. I mean, that should be it. You know, I feel like the point was made. You know, Lord willing, I pray it was edifying. You know, brothers, just, you know, like we say, I started the video with the title of "Make Every Day Count." Skillful add, you know, just skillfully adding off of what that brother, you know, the brother Karat Abad did, you know, from the Houston camp on that what he titled his lesson. Dang, let me go back to it. I think I forget what the brother titled it. I think it was "Sow to the Spirit More Than the Flesh," something along those lines. You know, it was a Yapot lesson. You know, so Lord willing, I pray that, you know, the point was made. You know, and this was an edifying lesson as well. You know, Lord willing, I pray this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to your Akim on the 4 winds, pushing truth and sincerity and diligence. Till next time, Shalom.